Yo, what's going on, guys? In this video, I'm going to be explaining everything about revenge and overtrading. The neurochemical side, the habitual side, the ego and identity part of it. What's making you make these decisions without, telling yourself no? Why does it feel so compulsive? So, I'm going to walk you guys through this, and this is exactly how I got out of the loop, how I stopped revenge trading. So, I very heavily recommend that you aren't just, listening to this video and it's going in one ear and right out the other. I mean, grab a notebook, really pay attention for this because this could be the video that changes everything for you, but it all depends on what you're going to do with it. All right, so let's get into it. Revenge trading, right? So, in the beginning, odds are you got into trading because of the big profits and the conveniences that it offers. Like on social media, you've probably seen crazy people banking, so much money off of easy trades. And of course, that is going to grab your attention. So, you come into trading with an ingrained mindset of easy money, big profits, quick work days. What you did not start trading for was the probabilities. This was not ingrained in your head from the start. So, this is not something that your brain recognizes or accepts. So, again, it's like shiny object syndrome. We see something so cool on social media. It's such an easy way to escape the matrix, but we're only taking in the pros of what this can offer us. We're not really paying attention to the cons and what the negatives can be. So we instantly just don't care about the whole base of what trading even is. The whole base is probability, having good RR and keeping that consistent, having a consistent win rate, having a consistent edge, dealing with the losses. That's not the sort of things that, we take in and soak in right away. So it creates problems. So you don't feel in control, and this is a big issue, right? Because since all you see is this easy money in trading, then you go into the market expecting an easy profit until you lose, and this triggers you. Your brain was expecting win. In return, you got lost. Your brain is experiencing a prediction error. This fires up your amygdala and your anterior cingulate cortex. You get a subconscious feeling that you need to fix this emotional debt right now. And on top of that, your frontal lobe gets overridden from all of your emotions. So, very minimal logical thinking is happening. So, you revenge trade and it feels compulsive, almost like you're not controlling the decision to do it or not. You take your loss, right? You get into the market, right? And remember, all you see is big wins on social media. You've maybe back tested a little bit, and you get into the market. Maybe you've won in the past, lost in the past, whatever the case may be. You are going in there thinking best case scenario at all times. You are only thinking about the prize. You don't know, or you're not planning how you're going to react when you receive that loss. So you're going in there expecting win, you're getting lost. You have a prediction error. Your brain thought you were going to get something good. Instead, you got pain. Instead, you got hurt. So what does your brain do? What happens whenever let's just say you drop something on the floor? Your immediate reaction is to pick it up, right? You want to fix whatever the wrong was. In trading, this is directly correlated. You lose. Now you want to directly fix whatever that wrong was. And in this case, it was the loss. And now you have this big red P&L that that these prop firms are purposely throwing in your face with bright colors because they want to trigger you, right? They don't want to see you win. They make money, when you fail accounts and blow money. So they're trying to trigger your psychology. So this prediction error is just going to combobulate your mind, right? So your anterior cingulate cortex, right, is responsible for wanting to fix, whatever the problem is right now. And your amygdala is what is going to sense the pain and tell you, okay, we have a problem, right? These two parts of the brain are firing. They're going crazy. So your frontal lobe, which is responsible for your logical thinking, disciplinary based thinking, it's being overridden by all your emotions. You are thinking with your heart, you are not thinking with your brain. So you then make very emotional decisions. Someone who is desperate is going to make stupid decisions. And in this case, you are very desperate to fix whatever problem you have. So you make a stupid decision. Okay, so diving into the comfortability side, which is really killing you guys, and you guys don't really probably see or understand why. But you've made this action an ongoing loop. So the more you partake in this, the more comfortable it becomes, the more likely you are to repeat it in the future, right? Growing up as kids, we probably told ourselves, oh, I'm never going to touch alcohol. I'm never going to smoke. Never going to smoke. I'm never going to do any of these bad things. And, you hit high school or, whatever age you first did it. And you did it, you partake in alcohol, let's say, for example, for the first time. And growing up, remember, you said you'd never do this, but you did it this time. And then it kind of just normalized it. It kind of just like broke the seal. So over time, you just kept doing it, doing it, and doing it. And it was never a problem. It was never like you were, that disgusted with yourself because you normalized it, right? The more you did it, the more normal it became, right? This is just, you know, basic psychology. So our brains are always going to default back to what is comfortable. And since you revenge trade so much, it becomes second nature. So the more you give in to revenge trading, the more you are hurting yourself. The more you sacrifice your long term gains for short term satisfaction, the more your brain is going to want to stay satisfied, right? You don't care about the long term anymore. All you're doing right now is building this addiction through comfortability. So you're normalizing the loop, right? Breaking your process under pressure, teaching your brain bad behavior. Every revenge trade is equal to reinforcement. You are literally training yourself to act emotional, abandon structure, and chase losses. We will establish the root as to why you do all of this later, but it's important to remember the more you give into it, the more likely you are to default back onto it later. So, you need to break the loop before it completes, right? So, what even is the loop? We'll go into how to break it. But the loop is you enter the markets with a mindset to make money, right? And then you hunt for a setup. You're not letting a setup come to you, you're hunting, you're actively trying to find something. You probably make some stupid setup up. You probably, make sense to yourself. Okay, we have this, and that. Here's a good trade, right? And then you enter the trade, and then you lose. Then you chase your profits back and or revenge trade, and you blow the account, or you end in profit. And why ending in profit is bad is because yes, you're going to have a green P&L, but an outcome attached trader is going to view this as something good. So you are giving into the market. You are letting the market show the absolute worst of you and get the most emotion out of you ever. So, what you do is you revenge trade, right? And let's just say you end green. How did you end green? You broke your rules. You gave into bad habits. And remember, like we were just talking about previously, the more you give into bad habits, the more likely you are to default to that, when you're under pressure or when you take a loss. But they revenge traded and broke habits in this process to getting the green P&L. So they leave the day thinking they took a step forward or that they made progress. But that is the exact opposite. The market exploited them, improved their weakness, resulting in revenge trading, building dependence to it, right? So since your brain is subconsciously correlating revenge trading with process, this is what you will default to. Bad habits equal success, outcome oriented mindset, dependence on artificial dopamine. So, these bad habits that you have in place, all it's going to do is compound and hurt you in the future, right? Since you're just going to default to it. So, you are stealing money from the market. And it is important to remember that the money that you take from the market is always going to take back, right? Because you took money through bad habits. Bad habits have no ROI. Bad habits will never last you long. There's no edge. There's no probability in revenge trading, and there never has been, never will be. So there's revenge trading, over trading habits is going to just keep creeping up on you every time you lose, and over time, it's just going to hold you back from your success. Ego. It becomes about protecting your identity too. So you tell yourself, oh, I'm good at this. I understand the market. I don't take losses like that, right? A lot of people who are not good at losing don't win in this game long term, right? Because they tell themselves, "Oh, I'm the best. I'm the best. I'll never lose." But in trading, it's simply just impossible to be undefeated. There's no such thing as someone who wins 100% of the time. So that identity, it becomes something that you subconsciously defend. So it's not something that you notice you're defending, but you're just going to subconsciously act on it. So you then start over trading to restore your self image. You are no longer trading the market, you are trading your need to feel right again. So this then becomes a source of dopamine. This becomes a source of picking yourself back up. And here's a little thing about dopamine too that I don't mention in the presentation, but we have this baseline, right? Every time we get a spike of artificial dopamine, right, we go up, right? This is our baseline. Our dopamine goes up. Then we just go just as far down as we went up because it's artificial dopamine. It's cheap dopamine. Revenge trading is cheap dopamine. So our baseline it just averages lower. So another revenge trade, we go back up, then we come just as far down. And our baseline just keeps going down. So we then start to feel worse and worse and worse and worse. And remember, we started up here, but our average baseline is going down. So all we're going to want to do is try to do whatever it takes to feed our dopamine so we're back at a equilibrium level. But you're doing this through artificial cheap actions. So you never actually end up reaching that equilibrium point in the act of revenge trading, even if you end green on the day. All this is teaching you is to give into chemical imbalance. So inside of this process, your brain is linking performance to identity, right? So winning equals validation, losing equals threat, right? But this is the complete opposite. Just because your P&L is green at the end of the day doesn't mean you're taking a step forward, because remember, you induced bad habits in order to have this green P&L. Whereas if you have a red P&L, this is truly a step forward if you went about having that red P&L the right way. When you lose, you're supposed to go back, you're supposed to learn from your loss so you can then, take that into the future. You can be smarter, right? You can buy all these courses and learn all this stuff on YouTube, but no education is like firsthand education, right? Learning it the actual hard way. So when you lose, there's always real hard, challenging education that you can get out of it. But if you revenge trade, you're not going to get any education out of it, right? You're just immediately trying to numb your pain. You're immediately trying to rebalance your chemical imbalance, if you know what I'm saying. So instead of you admitting you're wrong and trying to fix the problem, you try to protect a broken identity of being a good trader. You know deep down that you are not a good trader, so you are going to do whatever it takes in order for you to feel like you are a good trader. This will not last long. So how do we fix this? So we need to understand the root of the problem is attachment to P&L and or the outcome. The more we care, the more we will do to serve for the green P&L. So when we are so attached to the outcome, we don't care about getting better, right? We don't care about, becoming a better trader or learning from our losses. Whereas someone who is a process-based trader, meaning they are process oriented, they are going to back even at their winning trades and their losing trades, see what they could have done different, see what they could have, maybe changed for the next time. So these are the people that make it long term because they are building skill, not building dependence to having, a winning day. Whereas these people, who are P&L and outcome attached, they build dependence on validation on themselves. And what I mean by that is the only way that they're going to have a good day or feel like they're accomplished is by having a green day. So they don't make it long term because they don't know how to handle these losses. Whereas someone who is process based, they're building the skill, right? The other group of people is not. So, yes, being more disciplined would have saved you from your current situation of addiction to trading. But at this point, we are past that, and now we need to make it impossible for you to react without impulse. So, in the beginning, when you've never even revenge trade from the start, if you just would have had good discipline from there on out, we wouldn't probably have this issue. But at this point, your discipline is being completely overridden and your discipline is not in question anymore. And we need to make this more about not being able to react out of impulse. So if you don't have these, nothing else works. So you need a daily loss, right? You just need to have, I don't know, whatever your current like size of like your account is, but you need to have at least a max loss that is a 2 times loss barrier. So what I mean by that is whatever your average loss is, multiply that by 2. That needs to be your max loss. If you have a max loss, you physically can't go and revenge trade. The account is going to stop you. Max trades per session. So I'd say two to three trades is definitely a lot of trades a day, but it's also not going to let you revenge trade. It's just going to block you immediately after you hit that trade threshold. So platform lockout after loss threshold. So kind of just ties into trades per session. But this is going to protect you from yourself when you are not rational. So we need to rewrite the loop as a whole completely. So right now your loop is loss, emotion, trade. You need to replace this with loss, pause, reset, wait, execute. So the only way you're going to break a habit is to kill the loop before it completes, and repeating this over and over again until it is second nature. One slip up will cause the entire process to start over. So I was addicted to revenge trading. I couldn't stop over trading. I couldn't stop. I was so addicted to the idea of money. But I had this loop, right? And eventually I broke the loop over time. And now I'm at a point, if I take a loss, the last thing that comes in my mind is revenge trading, because I rewrote my own loop. I rewired my brain to not default to revenge trading after being addicted to revenge trading. So you don't stop revenge trading at the trade, you stop it before the trade exists. Right. Remove attachment to outcomes. So understanding that your first year needs to be all about building good habits and sacrificing short-term satisfaction for long-term gains. So let's think of a doctor, right? A doctor goes to school for 8 years. They don't get paid for 8 years. They do a lot of brutal, hard studying and hard work, a lot of lab work, a lot of watching other doctors perform, whatever doctors do, whatever people do in med school, whatever. They go 8 years. And a successful trader, right, is going to make more than the average doctor. But you, knowing that, right, go into the market trying to just make a boatload of money your first year, just ties right back to your attachment of P&L. You're not really focused on learning, just like how a pre-med student or a medical student would be focused on, right? They're forced to learn, whereas you are in position to actually make money, but you are so undisciplined that you don't care. You just want to make money now. You're not focused on learning. If you were process oriented, you wouldn't have this problem. So you need to stop rewarding yourself with fake wins. The money that you take from the market will always take back. We are paid off of our decision making, not how hard we work. Make good decisions and build good habits. The long term will then equal money, right? So like I was talking about earlier, the money that you take from the market will always take back. The market is going to exploit your bad habits. We are paid off of our decision making. We are not paid for the hours we put in. We do not have an hourly wage. We go into the market. If we take a good trade and we hit on that good trade, we will get paid. If we go into the market, maybe lose a trade, go against our idea of our own probability and revenge trade, that's a bad decision. You are not going to get paid. One, because you're building bad habits, and two, it's not probable. There's no edge in revenge trading. So, systems, you will not eliminate the urge, but you can outstructure it. Even good traders still feel it. The difference is that they don't act on it. Make your system stronger than your emotions. Let's dive deeper into that. So, system stats. So, you need to have your system and strategy back tested with extreme intent. You need to gather as much data as you can on your strategy from, when does it win best? What time does it win best? What time does it win least? What is the best applied criteria? What is the worst applied criteria? Is my strategy better with IFVG? Is my strategy better with a CISD or MSS? Gathering data at an extremely, not broad or extremely specific sense, if you know what I'm saying. So gather data and win rate, and you need to have this data and win rate correlated with whatever criteria that you're trading. So you can fall back on this data subconsciously. So if me, for example, let's just say I have an 80% win rate, right? I've been winning. Let's just say I won my last 3 trades. I go into the market and I take a loss. Why would I trip out? I just won my last 3 trades. So I know I'm not going to win 100% of the time. I win 80% of the time. So odds are this loss that I just took is just 20% of my loss ratio. Just like how I win 80% of the time, I have to lose 20% of the time. So that this loss is just a part of the game. It's a part of the math. It's a part of the stat. So I accept it and I move on. I understand that this is just a part of my probability. So a lot of you guys don't have your strategy back tested. A lot of you guys don't even know your edge. You need to have a shit ton of data back tested, forward tested. You need to understand your strategy and know it like the back of your hand in order for you to subconsciously trust it. Remember, your brain is always going to default to repetition. And if you have repetition, you have this data, you have experience trading the strategy, your brain is going to default to that. Then it's going to trust itself and it's going to trust the strategy, not going to want to push yourself to revenge trade. Okay, so that's all I have for this video. I dive so much deeper inside of this stuff inside of my Discord. You can join my free Discord. It's linked to my Instagram bio, or just go to nate-trades.com. There you can receive that link to join my free Discord. I'm also live trading inside of the Discord every day of the week. So make sure you guys follow me on Instagram at Nate_trades, where I go in depth on this sort of stuff and different variations of psychology issues. But if you made it this far, I appreciate you guys watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.